You're listening to the Legal Shit Podcast, the show that dives into all things legal. In a world where the law can be complicated, convoluted, and confusing, we're here to break it down for you. So, let's get started. And remember, it's not just talk, it's legal shit.
Yeah, man. Hey, well, welcome everyone to another episode of Legal Shit.
Nice to be back.
Hey, we're here on a Saturday morning. We're going to be talking about some interesting information about our fine federal government. But how's everyone doing this morning?
Doing good. Hey, everyone. This is Antoinette.
Hi, this is TK, and it's a little bit chilly this morning, so...
It is. Chilly yesterday. I came out, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's very chilly down here in Florida. It's our terrible winter we're having here. What is it about? What's the temperature? Anyone know the temperature?
Early this morning was about low 60s. It's about pushing 70 now, but it's...
just about sweater weather here in South Florida, according to most South Floridians. But anyway. Well, welcome everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're here for another episode of Legal Shit. Today, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of small businesses have been getting noticed on, getting emails from various companies. It's the BOI requirement, that beneficial owners information requirement that has to be filed by many corporations or companies in the United States. And it basically affects more small businesses than large companies because they're already subject to a lot of reporting requirements, and so they're exempted. We'll talk about that in a little bit,
and why it may be a little bit difficult for everybody to comply to the law and where to find it and what to do.
Yeah. So first, let's bring you up to date with Shannon Atkins. For those of you who don't know, Shannon Atkins was the Florida resident or the West Palm Beach resident, who was arrested a while back for making online threats against President Trump.
Not really threats. He made comments.
Comments that, they're deemed.
But the FBI, because a whistleblower turned in his page.
That's right.
So now it seems like it's threats.
Well, that's right.
He talked crap about the president. That's what he did.
He made comments that some in government and other places believe were threatening. How's that?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess if you get filed on it,
okay,
it turns into a threat.
But anyway, so updating you on that, there's no update. He is scheduled to have an arraignment on, I think, the 27th of this month. And an arraignment is where he will go before the judge and be informed as to the charges against him, and he can plead guilty or not guilty. I don't know if I think he's out of custody now. I don't think he's in custody.
Yes, he's home with a monitor.
Okay.
And that's what I heard. He's home with a monitor. I'm not sure if he can still we're hoping that he can still be a comedian, because he is a comedian, and everyone's trying to see what's the next step for him. And, his family and everyone is, has his back and trying to be there for him at the same time.
Yeah.
And his community, the drag community. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the update. No update, except for arraignment on the 20th. Well, we'll keep you updated on that.
Nothing juicy to talk about.
No, nothing juicy there.
Just be careful out there, guys, with your social media posts, if it's not happy thoughts. And also be aware that there's a lot of fake, it's AI. It looks so real.
Oh, yeah.
AI looks so real. You'll think it's real, and you'll be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, a lot of it is fake.
Yeah, really got to
don't hit that send button before.
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion.
You got to think. Like I think I've said it before on other episodes. If you don't want a jury to see it, don't send it or judge.
And don't believe everything you see anymore. It's just it's AI.
Yep, it's all. So today, what we're going to talk about is something, an entity called, or an act of Congress called the Corporate Transparency Act. It's a federal law that was, I think, originally passed in 2021. Oddly enough, it was vetoed, or strangely enough, it was vetoed by President Trump at that time, and his veto was overridden by Congress, which is one of the few times a U.S. president's veto has been overridden.
Yeah.
But he didn't want this act to be implemented. What the Corporate Transparency Act does is it requires certain businesses to report information about what they call beneficial owners. So that's the BOI report.
So what businesses can you tell me what businesses need to do it?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you in just a sec. Let me just give you a little background on the Corporate Transparency Act. The Corporate Transparency Act is a law that Congress implemented or passed, and it requires certain businesses to make certain reporting or report certain information to what's known as FinCEN, otherwise known as the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. You like how we have all these acronyms now? We have FinCEN.
Well, yeah, there are a lot.
POTUS, SCOTUS.
There are a lot.
Right? Supreme Court of the United States, President of the United States. So now we have FinCEN. It's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It's a part or an arm of the U.S. Department of Treasury, which is located in Washington, D.C., right across from the famous Old Ebbitt's Grill, by the way.
Oh, I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know.
I went there. I sent you there. I thought when you went to D.C.
Oh, yes, I did. I did go with my mom. Yeah. It was very nice.
It's a
lot of nice men there. Just let you guys know.
Mm-hmm. Well, Old Debbit's Grill. I've been there for years. Before I used to live in Washington, D.C., we used to hang out at Old Debbit's Grill for Friday happy hours. It was a great time. Right across from Treasury. So anyway.
So is there a deadline right now?
Yeah, we're going to go talk about that in a sec. But FinCEN is the arm of the government or the U.S. Treasury that's charged with implementing the Corporate Transparency Act. And what the Corporate Transparency Act kind of does is it requires banks and other financial institutions to report certain information to the government. They issue what's sometimes known as a SARS report.
Right.
Suspicious activity reports.
Right.
If you're a guy that goes in the bank every 3 days and deposits $10,000 in cash.
Or withdraws that amount.
$10,000 in cash.
Yeah.
You're going to probably be on a SARS.
Yes, they are, right.
So for the simple people, it's just primary goal is to combat financial crimes such as money laundering, fraud, and financial terrorism. Finance and terrorism.
Yep.
So you don't want other countries to get rich off of our money.
No, what they're really trying to do is they want to prevent other, not just countries, other people, terrorist organizations, things of that.
Just terrorism, period.
By setting up dummy companies in the United States and money laundering through them, funneling money through those.
That's the scary one, right? It's the terrorism, right? Because what companies would partake in terrorist activity or terrorist funding?
They do.
Fraud always happens, corporate fraud, those kinds of things. Yeah. And, covering up money like a laundromat, as we used to call it, but front corporations, shell corporations, but this is a lot.
And that's what this whole report is supposed to do. This BOI report is to try to prevent that, because now what you have to give is certain information, but we'll get into.
Because America also, everyone always thinks America is one of the richest countries. So they come here, they make money, they work, and then they send it back home. And that's where the complication comes in. And you never know what it's being funded when it's really supposed to stay in the country.
Well, we all know, I think, Teddy, we discussed it before we went on the air today about these small businesses that are used to funnel money. I mean, it's always the laundromats, the cash businesses, the car washes.
Is it going to be the mini marts? Is it going to be nail salons? What's it going to be?
Well, no.
What's their corporation of preference is what I want to know. Is it a bank? I guess we read about a bank that actually has
some of the banks. Banks have been charged with money laundering and some other things, but it's the nail salon that does a $500,000 a year in business when there's no customers.
Hey, leave the little man alone. The small business.
No, but that's
you don't want to point.
Oh yeah, we definitely want to talk about the penalties involved too.
Oh yeah,
but that's the problem. This act, this BOI reporting requirement, impacts small businesses much more than large corporations, because the large corporations are exempted.
And then the small businesses sometimes, especially if they're reputable, they can't. You're already the marketing person, the bookkeeper, the this. Now you have to file these paperwork.
That's right.
It's a lot.
But again.
But you still need it.
But if you read about it, do a little research, it's going to impact the small business owner much more than the large corporations. First of all, if you're a large corporation with what's known as a reporting company under the Act, it's called reporting companies. If you are not exempted, large corporations have lawyers and accountants and CPAs who can do all this stuff for you. It's the small to mid-range businesses who have to, now go through the expense and time of trying to figure out how to comply.
Like I said, they're the marketing person, they're the bookkeeper, they're everything for their small businesses. They can't afford all these different things.
Yeah. So to file this report, is there a specific place to go on the web, or are there people trying to take advantage of that?
Wait, but before, can we just tell all, literally everyone, it's all companies, everyone. If you have an LLC, if you're, and other entities registered with the Secretary of State, a similar government.
I was going to go through that.
Okay, go ahead. You tell it. Because I want to jump.
No. Actually, this is all kind of new to all of us, because I didn't know about it until your salon got an email from some company. Mm-hmm. There's these companies out there, just so you all know. And if you own a small company, you're going to need to file a BOI by the deadline we'll talk about shortly. But there's companies out there that are now saying you can go to jail, you could be fined $500 a day, blah, 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 blah. So you better do it, and they're charging. If you go on FinCEN's website, and I'll give you the thing later on, you can do it for free. And so you got to be careful. But Antoinette, you asked who has to file the BOI. According to the Act, it's all, quote unquote, reporting companies, unless exempted. And so if you're a business owner in the United States, and we'll talk about a reporting company in a second, you are required to file a BOI by the deadline unless you're exempted. And there are 23 exemptions. I'm not going to go into all of them, but what is a reporting company? Well, a domestic reporting company is any company that's registered to do business and you file papers with the Secretary of State, or any company in any other state. If there's a like entity, like the Secretary of State or something else, if you have to file documents to operate your company in the state, you are a domestic reporting company unless exempted. Same thing for foreign.
Not in the state, in the country, and everywhere.
For each state. So if you've registered to do business in the state that you're located, and if you registered to do business with the Secretary of State or with whatever entity controls the registration of businesses in that state, you are required to file a BOI unless you're exempted by the statute. And there's 23 exemptions.
One of them is nonprofits. Is that right?
It is.
I just guessed that one.
Yeah, nonprofits.
So churches.
I think churches. Yeah,
churches are nonprofit.
Right. You have a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
So that the nonprofit's exempt. Do you have any other small businesses?
Oh my goodness! The information required in the BOI report.
So that you have domestic and foreign reporting companies. And a reporting company is, if you're a domestic company and you're registered, you file papers with your state, either the Secretary of State or whatever entity controls that, you are a reporting company under the Act. If you're a foreign company and you're formed in another country, but you're registered to do business in a state or any state in the United States.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You are, again, a reporting company unless exempted. And there are 23 exemptions to reporting companies. So you have to go, the best way to do it is go on to FinCEN's website, and I'll give you that in a little bit, and to look at whether or not your company is exempted.
Or you can hire, another thing is...
Are there other places that take advantage of people?
Another thing, you can hire a lawyer. You need to hire a business lawyer. If this is not something that you're comfortable with, not everyone's great at the website, you hire your lawyer. You hire a business referral lawyer. Any lawyer that deals with businesses, they have to go about all these processes. So check out your local lawyers.
But also, Teddy, yes, and there are companies out there, and I know Antoinette, you've received notices. I think I may have also,
but you don't have time to pay attention.
I mean, they're under the disguise of being a government agency, but they're not.
Yeah,
they're just a for-profit business.
Yes. What happens is these companies are able to get the names of all the businesses registered in the state of Florida, for instance, and they send out emails, a blast email to all these companies saying you can face civil penalties, you can face jail time.
And those are scare tactics.
And what you do is if you go online and just click like BOI reporting requirements, the first several links that come up are for-profit companies that want you to pay them to file for you. So.
But I'm telling you, the best way to go about it is hire a lawyer. This is what legal shit is for, is to tell you that the lawyers here are very important and you don't want to mess up. You get on there, you don't know what you're doing, you fill out something inappropriate. Talk to your lawyer.
If you have, I
don't even do my paperwork because I don't want to mess up. So I drop it off to Mr. Schulz.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll send you a bill tomorrow.
What happens if you decide to do it on your own? What would be the cost?
We don't know. That's where you go.
Free. If you go on FinCEN's website, it's for free. And so that's, I don't know how detailed it is. One thing you have to think about is we talk about a nail salon, we talk about hair salons. If you're a small company with 1 or 2 or 3 employees, you probably, can figure it out yourself. If you're, you start getting up more than that, you want to be able to figure out how to comply with it. You need to know what the statute says and what compliance is. But one of the things that you have to file, one thing you do have to file is you have to give information about what's called your beneficial owners. So it's a reporting. So that if you look at the statute, it's a reporting company must report information about their beneficial owners. So,
which conduct an internal review to determine who meets the criteria.
Yeah. So what is a beneficial owner?
Right. What is it? What's the definition?
I just said it. It conducts an internal review to determine. That's not it?
No.
Oh, I was doing my little research.
No, you're right.
Okay.
But that gets into the cost to small businesses to try to figure out if they're appropriately filling out these reports or who needs to be filled out. So the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out if you're a reporting company. And like we said, you are a reporting company if you're registered to do business in your state, or you're a foreign company that is registered to do business in a state in the United States. As a reporting company, if you're not exempted, if you're not one of the 23 exemptions, you must file a BOI report. And in that report, you have to give information about your quote unquote beneficial owners. And this is where the cost comes into mid-sized businesses, because they have to figure out.
Okay, we're going to keep going. You're dragging it out.
Well, of course, that's what lawyers do.
We're not dragging it out.
We like to give information.
Let's keep going.
Employees, how do you know who's a beneficial owner?
beneficial owner is someone who owns 25% or more.
There you go. Thank you.
Or person who exercises what's called substantial control over the company's operations, whatever that means. Or it's a person in your company who has significant influence over the company financial or operational decisions.
So like a tyrant, maybe? A tyrant will be a beneficial owner?
Right. But again, if you're a small company, you have maybe 30, 40 employees, you have to go through that to make sure, who do I have to report on?
Yeah, because you're doing it for the very first time.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out.
Okay, I'm moving on. So to ensure compliance, business.
This is why people.
I'm moving on.
I'm
so moving on.
Through things.
It's not blast through things. It's a video. We're already 16 minutes. We can't keep on repeating the same thing.
I'm wondering if somebody decides to do it on their own and it is free. What if they miss the deadline? What happens then?
They better go to FinCEN or whatever.
FinCEN.
Yeah. FinCEN.
But there are fines, daily fines, like
that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
If there's a daily fine and it's huge, forget it being free. You're gonna.
Oh, you can go to jail too. You can eventually. Yeah, you can go to jail.
I don't know
not too loud.
What's the criminal penalty, but I do know what the criminal penalty is. It's up to 5 years, but I don't know what constitutes a criminal. Probably lying. I'm sure if you lie on your BOI report.
So to ensure compliance, you need to identify beneficial owners, designate a compliance officer, consult a legal and financial expert, and file with FinCEN. So that's the main thing. Those are the 4 steps that you need to first work on when you need to figure this stuff out.
Okay, so what type of information do you have to provide for your beneficial owners? Well, first of all, if you go through your company and figure out who the beneficial owners are, you must supply their full legal name, their date of birth, their residential address, and then you also must provide a unique identifying number from a valid government ID, such as a driver's license or a passport, and then submit a copy of that document to FinCEN.
I have a chat question already.
Sure.
So this is interesting because what if you're a sole proprietor? Do you even have to file this?
Yes.
Because it goes without saying, right? It goes without saying that you're the only beneficial owner.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. So
you're amazing. I still make you do it.
Yeah.
Listen,
remember you can go to jail.
I'm a solo practitioner. I have to file a BOI report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if you're 100% folks.
Yeah.
So you have to do that.
Yep.
And what do you have to provide? You were in the middle of trying to see what you have to provide.
You have to provide once you identify the beneficial owners of your company, if it's only one, it's you, and you have to provide your full legal name or the name of the beneficial owner, the date of birth, their residential address, and then the identifying number, a valid identifying number such as a driver's license or a passport. And I think you have to submit a picture of that to FinCEN. So it's hard to hide. So I guess
no, they don't want you to hide. Just like the airports, everything's documented. They want to make sure they know who is doing what, and they want to make sure. I mean, the way how the country is going right now, they want to make sure the money's protected and it's staying in the country. The money's being leaked out the country little by little all over the world.
But it's not just that. They're trying to keep people from laundering money through the United States.
Same thing. That's what I mean.
No,
laundering it could be a little bit, could be corporations outside of the country doing it by quarters and dimes and nickels, Sheen and all these other countries. To me, that's laundering.
Okay, well, they don't.
But they put it behind, it's a business. It's an internet company.
It's a business that makes no money and has no customers, but it's making $5,000 a week. Because they're laundering $5,000 a week to the company.
That's it. And not paying any taxes.
Right? The smart guys pay taxes.
Just a little bit. Just enough.
To make.
So it's an added measure to just know if I'm scared about the terrorism component.
Yeah.
That's what I'm scared about.
That's what I'm scared about too.
People are stealing money from each other. And that's somebody else's problem. Right. I care about safety, right? So,
yeah, that's the main thing I'm scared about.
If you're funding terrorism, we got a whole other problem with that corporation.
And that's the main reason why they started the BOI. It's not just the small businesses. It's the funding of the terrorism.
Right. It's money laundering, terrorism funding,
drugs.
This is why, a lot of people allege that a lot of the banks up and down Brickell Avenue in Miami were started with drug money back in the 1980s.
So who to contact for assistance? Okay, so if you need assistance, the best person to contact is business attorneys, accountants and compliance officers, industry associations, and FIN for help. FinCEN.
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 FinCEN. FinCEN.
Yeah, they have a help desk. I mean, like you said, everything's free. But if you really need a little bit more help because you haven't been keeping up with your paperwork, you may need to contact your business attorney and especially your accountant.
So when
and compliance officer.
Well, the first thing is the original filing requirement of your BOI was in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were numerous legal challenges in various federal courts throughout the country. And then there were stays issued or injunctions issued by federal judges, which stayed the implementation of the litigation of the of the reporting requirement. In January 7th, now this is the new twist. On January 7th of this year, the U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of Texas issued an order staying the implementation of the regulation. So staying means it's been stopped. You didn't have to report anything. The U.S. Justice Department has appealed that order, but then asked the district court to stay its order to stay.
Oh, so it's a double negative.
Right, it's a double negative. So they obtained a stay of the stay order. So there is no stay.
Wait, what does a stay mean?
Stay means everything stops.
And why are we stopping again?
Well, because the people have challenged it. The U.S. District Court ruled that no one has to submit a BOI report. So it stopped. It stayed.
Right,
okay.
Because I did read in the summary there were mixed feelings about this across America. And who would have mixed feelings about it? Is it just laziness, or do they not care about terrorism funding?
No, I don't think regular people are thinking about terrorism funding. Well, I think that it's just
targeted at.
It's just extra work.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, are they
unless you're actually funding terrorism?
Yeah.
If you're like,
then you have a problem with it.
No.
Right. Yeah, you'd be like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this.
I don't want to file a BOI.
I'm going to get caught. Or if you're already a criminal, it might be bad for you. You're going to have to come up with a whole new ID.
To answer your question, the stay is when, let's say I'm in a court. I'm in a court case and someone gets a judgment against me, right? I owe people $10,000. I have to pay them $10,000. I can ask the lower court, the trial court, to stay their collection efforts and to stay my requirement to pay while I appeal it. Mm-hmm. Usually I have to post a bond to stop that from happening. So in this instance, the U.S. District Court stayed the implementation, so you don't have to file a BOI report. The U.S. Justice Department then filed an appeal and asked the district court to stay its stay order, which the district court granted.
Okay, you're going to stay on that. Let's move to another topic. Because you're not...
That's a good segue, actually. I'm going to use that.
Segue from staying?
Can we stay on that topic?
Can we stay? No, we're not going to...
No, can we?
Another?
Yes, please. We'll come back to that.
I think we should.
I think I know how to stay.
I think we should stay. Any more comment on the stay?
Thank you.
Okay, so in other words, the new requirement is everyone who's required to file a BOI report must do so by March 21 of this year. March 21st is your deadline. Are concerned, if you're not sure, if you don't want to file, you should contact FinCEN, an attorney, the people in
your attorney, your accountant, definitely your accountant, because, bookkeeping is very important. You got to have all those paperwork together.
And are we going to be posting the website so that people can go to it?
Yes. Yeah. Once you write it up, Teddy.
Once I write it up. Thank you so much for the job.
Thank you. You want to get a stay for that job?
I'm out close from now on.
Okay,
so the filing deadline is March 21st?
March
1st, sorry.
No, March 21.
Oh.
March 21.
It moved to March 21?
Yeah, that's what I have, March 21.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was March 1st. Okay.
Well, I would double check that just to make sure, but I looked at it. And
go to the website and check it to make sure it is right, guys.
The website, you can go on a couple different ones. One is FinCEN, FINCEN.gov. Or if you want to file your FinCEN BOI report or your BOI report to FinCEN, it's BOI efiling.fincen.gov. So it's BOIEFILING.FINCEN.gov.
And we'll have it in the notes for you guys. Just check the notes and you'll get all that information.
But again, the important thing is you have to file by the deadline. There a civil fine of $500 per day.
Yeah, so if you're a small business, you can go bankrupt not doing this.
Right. So failure to file a BOI report can lead to severe penalties. Include civil penalties of up to $500 per day for non-compliance, criminal fines of up to $10,000, and a potential imprisonment for responsible parties for up to 2 years. Yes. So you can go to jail.
1 day is too much.
Yeah.
1 day in jail is too much, I think. But anyway, so it's important. And again, the deadline, unless it's stayed again by some court, is March 21st. And so if you have any concerns, I would contact the people Antoinette talked about and get them involved, because you don't want to, I'm going to file before the deadline just because I don't want there to be any problems, unless again, it's stayed by some court somewhere. So that's pretty much it.
All right.
So at the same time, who decided to support the BOI? Carolyn Maloney. The rep, Carolyn Maloney, is one of the bill's main sponsor. She had been advocating for corporate transparency laws for years, arguing that anonymous shell companies were enabling financial crimes. You want to do that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just read the names.
And then Senator Sherry Brown.
He's retired now, isn't he? Sherry Brown, I believe so.
I'm not familiar.
Is a major supporter in the Senate, particularly as chair of the Senate Banking Committee. Then there's Mark Warner, DVA, co-sponsored the bill, citing national security risks associated with financial security. Then there's Mike Crapo, a Republican who played a role in moving financial reform measures through the Senate Banking Committee.
So it's bipartisan, right?
Oh yeah, it's very bipartisan.
It was a bipartisan bill, and that's how they overrode President Trump's veto, because it was a bipartisan bill that was passed by a majority of the House and Senate. So
let me finish. Let me finish with the other guys, because it's 6 of them. Then there's Patrick McHenry.
I don't even know if they're around.
Support the bill from the Republican side, recognizing the importance of transparency while advocating for small business protection. And then there's Senator Ron Wyden and Senator Chuck Grassley. Both were longtime advocates of anti-money laundering efforts and supported provisions to track beneficial ownerships.
Yep.
And how the bill was passed. I mean, the bill was passed, but despite Trump tried to veto it.
He did veto it.
Yeah, he did. But he didn't.
He was overridden.
Yes. So he was overridden. You want to talk about that?
No, it's just interesting that Trump would veto.
Yeah.
I think it's an important bill. I mean, all these things to stop money laundering and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just an extra step.
You have to protect the country.
Do 1 million forms a year anyway. That's just threw in one more.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's another way to protect the country. All the other countries are getting together. If you look at other news like BBC and see what other countries are doing, they're getting together and protecting their country, and they're teaming up. We need to also protect our country.
There's
and set your alerts to do that. Right.
March 21.
$100 a day is not a little bit of money.
National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, for fiscal year 2021, which was that's when it was
originally passed.
It was passed, which include the CTA was initially passed by a strong bipartisan majority in both chambers. So the House of Representatives, the Senate, and Trump. The House of Representatives, 335 to 78, December 2020.
So it's 2020.
And then the Senate, 84 to 13, December 2020.
Which is a high bipartisan support.
Yeah, so the people want it. The country wants it. Trump vetoed the bill on December 2020, citing concerns related to the CTA.
Corporate Transparency Act.
I'm curious to see how it's enforced. I really am. There's going to be a lot of people who just missed it, didn't hear about it, didn't know about it.
I didn't know about it until I think either Antoinette forwarded me an email from someone that sent her an email about doing it, or someone sent me an email about my law firm's need to file. But I honestly didn't know about it. But now it's gotten a lot more publicity because of the fact that it was stayed and then overridden and stayed and blah, blah, blah. And lots of
it's scary. I mean, business owners are scared. They're nervous. They don't know what to do. And then let me finish this part so you guys have all the information. Congress overrided his veto on January the 1st, 2021 with a 322 to 87 in the House and 81 to 13 in the Senate, making it a law despite Trump's opposition. Why was the CTA a bipartisan issue? Democrats supported it as a way to crack down on corruption, tax evasions, and corporate security. Corporate secrecy. Mm-hmm. Republicans backed it as a part of effort to curb foreign influences and terrorism financing. Both sides saw it as aligning the U.S. with international anti-money laundering standards, particularly with those from a Financial Action Task Force, FATF.
Well, there's the history of it. Again, it's a strong bipartisan bill that was vetoed by President Trump back in 2021, overridden. And now it's the law, and now you have to file a BOI if you are a reporting company. So make sure, if you have any questions, do some internet research. Go to the FinCEN website. They have a helpline. They give you lots of information. You can read about it and decide whether or not your company needs to file the report. But again, if you need to file it and you're required to file it and you don't, you can face some stiff civil penalties. So,
and there's other countries that do this. I mean, all countries have their own BOI. Europe, the EU has theirs. Where is it? Where did I throw this?
Where's the EU?
Yeah.
So they have one, people were funneling money into America until we have one.
So
they'll send it somewhere else. That doesn't.
No, they have it, but they're still getting. There's still ways to.
If they have it in their country, then
To
that's
protect.
why that money's leaving that country and it's going to any country that doesn't have
Yeah.
one, which was until now the U.S.
So the EU companies and trust, the UK has it. Canada has a private corporation one. Australia, none it's not what it's finance-owned firms and financial institutes. So this is something I will put in the group chat in the video so you guys can see it, so you guys can understand it a little bit more. So other countries are protecting their country. So it's important for our country because we do not want to go broke. We already owe a lot of people a lot of money.
Anyway.
Yeah, we don't want to go into that.
Okay. Well, that's it for the BOI, I think.
No, that's not it.
Hey, oh, yeah, something more?
Hold on, let me check my notes.
Wow.
Let me check my notes.
Yeah.
We got a lot of thoroughness here.
No, because I mean, it affects so many businesses. You don't want
That's every business.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And then, wait, what about the PP? Can we talk about the PPP?
I really looked up.
We didn't look it up, but remember, people, if you did a PPP and you did not do it right, or you filed it illegally, or whatever you did, people are going to jail. So that's another thing. Remember, once you got a criminal record, you cannot vote. So all these business owners, that's what I think about too, voting. You don't have voting rights.
Remember those days, right? When people were buying Lamborghinis?
Yeah.
40 employees.
Yeah.
You know, they made up all the check stubs and they were driving around in Lamborghinis.
They have videos of people again knock on the door. I'm sorry, you committed a crime, and they're going to jail.
I've seen license plates that say in the back PPP loan.
Fabulous.
Well, if you can't pay it back, you're going to jail. So be prepared. Be prepared.
Well, it's not that you're not paying back because those loans were forgiven.
Yeah, they were forgiven. That's exactly why. And some
not if you,
more than once.
No, not if you did it illegally.
I understand. If you did it illegally, they want money back.
That's the part I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the forgivable part where you did it right and everything was done properly by your lawyer and everyone that did it. I'm talking about the illegal people that change the numbers to fit this and do that just to get.
I have an accountant friend who had a lot of clients because they didn't know how to file that paperwork. And it was a little bit difficult to do. I did it myself, right, for our business. And it wasn't that easy to get it all approved. You had to be right on point with all the paperwork.
Yeah. So,
but there's smart people out there that just knows how to, finesse the system.
There always is.
Yeah. And those are the people that helped other people, and they're going to jail. And you cannot vote anymore once you get that, behind bars. What is it?
What, a rap sheet?
A rap sheet. Well, that's what I guess that's what you call it, a rap sheet.
Once you're
your voting opportunities are
convicted, it follows you for the rest of your life.
I wonder
photo and bad lighting.
I wonder if the BOI, if people go to jail for that, will they lose their voting rights too?
And I don't think they're going to enforce anything for the first probably 6 months to a year.
And there may even be, when you look on the FinCEN's website, it says there may even be further extensions. So they understand what the problems are, but
wow, sounds like someone screaming outside.
Sounds like Tarzan.
Okay.
We are in a public area outside, and people like to go through and scream and yell, and at least no one's banging on the window today.
Well, it's still season, and they have the green market out here as well. So there are a lot of people in town.
So that's it for BOI, and but I also wanted to let you know that is it a couple of weeks we're going to have a guest.
Yes, we're gonna have 2
weeks. We're gonna have a PI lawyer here, right?
Nick Sarta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick is a local attorney here in Palm Beach County, and he talks about.
Wait, did you confirm it? No, he said yes. He's on vacation right now.
But grab him. It's important.
I know we're going to have next week. We should have Reggie Rock. He's a private investigator, and he's going to talk about how that ties into legal shit.
Yeah.
So I know that.
And then Nick in 2 weeks was going to talk about the thing that everyone always hears about, personal injury, people slip and falls, car accidents, and Teddy, I think you were just not long ago in a car accident,
right? Yeah. I was in a car accident. I hadn't been in one in over 2 decades, but these things happen, and they happen close to home, folks. So that's what they say statistically.
Yours was on video, wasn't it?
Yes, it was on video.
That's the best part.
This accident happened. A girl came out into the mini mall parking lot and asked me and said, "Do you want a video of this?" I said, "Hell yes, I want a video of this." That way it didn't have to do much.
Tell them how the accident happened.
No, accident happened here on Dixie Highway. It's one of the main streets here in West Palm Beach. And
don't tell all of it, because we need some of it.
No, a little bit of information.
Yeah.
Somebody made a turn, and legal turn without stopping or using their turn signal right in front of me. I didn't have time to stop. and I hit them because of that fact. I just didn't have time. Slammed on the brakes, did it. But both cars were pretty much mangled.
Can you tell us what kind of car you had before?
I had a classic car, so that was another tie-up.
Nice car.
Yeah, that was another tie-up. So I had to do 5 appraisals on the car, and maybe we can talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Oh, maybe we can have not wheels. What's to call it? Supercar. The guy come on and talk about that. About classic cars.
I mean, if you have a classic car, one thing is you definitely have to have a special type of insurance for it, or you have to have it appraised before so you don't have any mix-ups when they deem it a total loss. You don't want the insurance company to lowball you on that amount. So you're either going to do
and they tried with them.
The adjusters, they're not your friends. So they're out to make a profit. So it's up to you to have the proper insurance to see if you can get the highest amount if they do deem it a total loss. And the other thing is,
which they did for you.
Even if you have a dented fender nowadays, it's so much paperwork for auto body companies to actually fix that car. They may deem it a total loss just off of just like a dented fender because there's so much money to repair nowadays for cars. So they just write the check, but they write low checks, and it's up to you to make sure you get the proper amount back because then you have to buy another car.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you did, and a nice car at that. Teddy won't let me drive his car either. Not a very nice person.
Wow.
Not saying nothing, but what did I do to his car? I think I just smudged all of it. Because, in our garage, it can be a little messy. I smudged up his car. He likes to keep his car prestige.
Pristine.
Pristine.
So it's fresh in my mind. And then the other portion of it that I wanted to talk about too is the personal injury portion of it. So got into the accident, and real quick, the police come. That's the best bet, right? You want to call the police as soon as possible because they need to make that police report. Have everything documented because they take the insurance information for you when you're in that accident. Otherwise, you have to ask the other driver. The other driver can just be a hit and run. They could leave.
Yeah,
so
which they do all the time.
In order to keep them there, get the police there as soon as possible. Doesn't matter who's at fault. Okay, we determine that later. And then if they ask you if you need any medical attention, it's okay at that moment to not have to go directly to the hospital if you feel all right at that time. But the state of Florida allows you up to 14 days to see a doctor because you may get after effects.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that has to do with the PIP, which is the PIP. It's personal injury protection coverage on your insurance, and that'll pay for your medical bills. But you have to see that doctor before the 14 days are up.
Yeah, so that's what we'll talk about when we can bring Nick on. I think hopefully come on in 2 weeks. We'll talk all about where did that? What you should have, coverage you should have, and things of that nature. You haven't had any car accidents, but you had 2 cars.
Right.
Hit and runs. Talk about the hit and runs.
So the hit and runs. I was lucky to have cameras. I'm in the garage where there's cameras. You drive in, you have to take a ticket. And the cameras see the rear view of your license plate, everything. Well, the license plate is in the rear view. So every time I get a hit, I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, you know what? Go downstairs, get the cameras, check them out. And they try to hide. The last person tried to hide.
Right. They hid in another floor in the parking garage for hours thinking that they weren't going to get away. But you have to exit the parking garage.
Right. We had their entry video and their exit video.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, they can't.
Well, the first one that totaled your one car or banged it up pretty badly, we ended up finding out through the videotape and a private investigator who owned the car, and I sent them on my legal letterhead, kind of a nasty letter, and it ended up being it was sent to the owners of the car who were the parents of the kid who was driving the car that day, and he was getting ready to leave for the Army in about a month. They made him come in with a check. And apologize personally to me.
He was trying to hide. He was trying to get away with it.
Yeah, he left the garage for that.
Bruises on my car. That's the ugliest thing. Driving around with the car just looks horrible.
So insurance, difficult thing. Be on top of it. Be on top of your coverages too. Make sure you have enough coverage. And then, the attorneys, it's up to them between yourself and the attorney to determine whether you have to file a claim beyond the policy limits of the other individual. And that is a big deal here in Palm Beach when there are a lot of cars that are, north of $200,000 vehicles. You need good coverage, especially if you hit anybody else's personal properity as well.
Okay, guys, we need to shut this down.
We're going to shut this down. Listen, welcome. Thanks for spending another Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And like we said, remember, it's not just talk. It's
legal. All right.
Have a good Saturday.
Bye.
How do I stop this, you guys? I'll stop. Still not stopping.